This video is brought to you by patreon.com/worsttake. Get access to exclusive live streams and Discord servers, on-screen shoutouts, and early access to some videos when you join now. Help make sure that we can continue to make content like this by supporting the Patreon. Links are in the description down below. The Browns, they got questions. Every team does. The Browns aren't exempt. They have questions. And this year, some of those questions, well, they're due for an answer. Let's talk about it. Browns have questions. These are 6 questions the Browns will answer in 2024. First question is, this is kind of a two-pronged question. First part of it is, how good does quarterback play need to be in order for the Browns Super Bowl champions or Super Bowl contenders, right? Don't want to presume. But that, how good does quarterback play need to be for the Browns to be legitimate Super Bowl contenders? This is a question that I think is more important than all of the goofy questions we get about Deshaun Watson. We have talked about, is Deshaun Watson going to be top 5? Is he going to throw for 5,000 yards again? Is he this? Is he cooked? Was last year a sign of him coming back, or was last year the nail in the coffin for Deshaun Watson? We ask all of these questions about Deshaun Watson simply because he's played 11 games in the last 2 years. And statistically, none of those games have been exceptional. But the real question for a team that just went 11-6 with 5 different quarterbacks starting isn't what's Deshaun Watson's ceiling. It's, does Deshaun Watson's ceiling matter? See, what I think is hilarious is, as much as we're hearing these takes, which have been wrong for the last 2 years, about how Deshaun Watson's going to hold back the Cleveland Browns, despite the fact that he has a winning record as the starting quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. Nobody ever acknowledges that when they have a rebuttal to me disagreeing with the whole Deshaun Watson's going to hold back the Cleveland Browns take. Literally, they still win with him there. Now, you can argue that that has nothing to do with Deshaun Watson. But that being the case kind of destroys the entire argument, does it? Because if you're saying that the Browns can win a bunch of games and it has nothing to do with Deshaun Watson, then it means that Deshaun Watson's not the reason that they lose, which means they're probably not going to be a worse team simply because he's playing quarterback. That makes sense? So walk with me. As much as we're hearing that take, which I think is silly, I think there's another take that people could have that they're most certainly going to jump to if the Browns have a decent record at the start of the year, which is Deshaun Watson being carried by the Cleveland Browns? It's funny to me that that conversation has not been had. You can make an argument. I don't think it's a great argument, but you can certainly make what is going to be a compelling argument to people, especially those who already are inclined to dislike Deshaun Watson, right? You can make a pretty compelling argument to say that he's been carried by the Cleveland Browns. But because people are allergic to saying Brown's good at anything, because people are so tunnel vision focused on not just wanting Deshaun Watson to be a bad quarterback, but wanting him to be so bad that he hurts the team that he's on, despite the fact that he was a very good quarterback when he was playing for the Houston Texans, People want these narratives to be true so badly that they don't see what's right in front of them, which is a golden opportunity to say that he's being carried by one of the best defenses in football. And here's the hilarious part. It honestly does not matter what Deshaun Watson does. It might still be the case, right? Deshaun Watson this year could throw for 4,200 yards, can get 35 touchdowns and only 8 interceptions. And the Browns could easily be 11-6 or 12-5. And people can make a very compelling argument for it being about the defense, not Deshaun Watson. Like, you've seen Deshaun Watson put up great numbers before, and it didn't lead to wins. But this defense, I mean, you saw it be great last year, and it led to wins. And then you saw it be great the year after. And, you've seen what this team is when the defense isn't good. The Browns also have really good skill positions, right? They have a great offensive line. They have a good running back. They have good wide receivers, a great tight end. But nobody stops and asks the question, what does it need? What do the Browns need to be successful at the quarterback position? And is this team and is this roster so good that it just requires less than people are expecting for the Browns to get there? Here's what I'll point out. You can feel however you feel about the 5 games Deshaun Watson played in 2023. The opinions go wildly across the board. I thought he was above average in most games, and he was horrible in the Pittsburgh game, right? Wouldn't say he was great. Wouldn't even say he was like consistently good, but he was above average. The Browns were not just 5-1 with him out there. Well, 4-1. We don't really count that Indianapolis game. But they had a plus 63-point differential with them there, which was significantly higher than what Joe Flacco did in a similar sample size of games, and PJ Walker and DTR, and most certainly Jeff Driscoll, which indicates that this team is pretty damn good. By the way, 63-point differential, very similar to what the Kansas City Chiefs had in the regular season. Not a great team number, right? A great number would be like plus 150, but a really good number. But you can make the argument that Deshaun Watson wasn't even that good last year and they had that. You can make the argument that he was good. The real question is, if they're capable of getting to a plus 63-point differential and a 4-1 record with a quarterback that you're not sure was playing good, then what is required of the quarterback position to get this team where they need to be? Because they beat Baltimore on the road with a quarterback that everybody swears to me was garbage. So, what do they need to happen? If you think Deshaun Watson was garbage, then that plus 63-point differential would suggest that the Browns don't even need a good quarterback, right? If your definition of what he did this season was garbage. If you think he was above average like I do, then it's okay, well, he plays a little bit better than that. This team could be one of the best in the NFL. It's a serious question. Another question that will be answered is, hey, will the Browns trust Deshaun Watson going forward after this contract? Basically, I think Deshaun Watson's second contract with the Cleveland Browns is basically on the line this year. If he balls out, he'll get a second contract. If he stinks or gets injured, he won't. We'll wait it out. We'll rebuild in 27 and maybe 28 and then be back up in 29. But that's also a question that will be answered. It's kind of associated with that first question. The next question that will be answered is if Kevin Stefanski is a one-trick pony. Now, the reason this question's up in the air is because Kev has kind of rolled to prominence in the NFL, got 2 Coach of the Years off of the Gary Kubiak system that he learned in Minnesota. But now he's being asked to get outside that comfort zone. He has Ken Dorsey, new assistants from the college level. This is the most all-in the Browns with Kevin Stefanski have been in trying to innovate and update an offense. Is Kevin somebody who can do that? We really haven't been able to find that out. Now this year, We will find that out. If this offense starts to click and is humming and has less of the problems that the offenses of years past have had, where they've been able to put up points, but explosion was few and far between. If they're able to get that explosive play number up, we're cooking with something with Cav. He can adapt. He can really cook up different. He can be a innovator, similar to Andy Reid, who Andrew Berry comped Kevin Stefanski to. But if this is another collaboration that falls flat, if this is something to where they just kind of roll back to Gary Kubiak halfway through the season, then there's reason to be concerned about if Kevin Stefanski is starting to impose a ceiling to what the Browns can achieve on the offensive side of the ball. We'll find that out this year. I don't think we're going to find it out in the first 4 weeks. So the people, they have a bad game in the first 4 weeks. I don't want to hear we found out. But we'll find this out by the end of the season. Jim Schwartz's defense, is it too simple? We'll find that out in 2024. A lot of people had the feeling that the Browns defense was too simplistic, and that's why the good offensive coordinators could take advantage of it. I don't know if that's the case, right? Because I could point to the offense not supporting the defense as much as anything was the biggest problem for the Browns defense, especially on the road. But also, this was a defense that was still in the first year of a new defensive coordinator. And those flaws were still easy to be exposed if you were able to kind of get to the Browns secondary, especially if you were able to make them play zone coverage. Year 2, I expect zone coverage to be much stronger. That is an area that takes a little bit longer to get together than kind of man coverage stuff or just straight up blitzing and stuff on the front 7. So I expect that to get better. I expect Juan Thornhill and that secondary to be better in year 2, especially in their zone responsibilities. But that's something we're going to find out. Is the Jim Schwartz defense too simple for the modern NFL? Or is it just enough? Jerry Jeudy, is he a 1,000-yard wide receiver? Jerry Jeudy has averaged about 14 yards per reception. If you give him a little bit over 100 targets, he's about a 1,000-yard receiver with those metrics. Now, he hasn't really gotten that many targets in Denver. He got like 88 last year. The year he did get close to 1,000, which was a couple years ago, he did get around 100-something targets. So the real question is, hey, can he maintain that 14-yard per reception number per target number? No, per reception number. And is that something that he can improve upon? Because he's on the precipice, the cusp of being a 1,000-yard receiver. The advanced metrics would suggest that he basically is one. But this year will be the first time he's put in a fair position to prove it. We'll see if that can be the case. The Browns' offensive line without Bill Callahan. Were they just a Bill Callahan creation? Or are they going to be able to adapt and advance and become a better version of what they were trying to be last year? The Browns have been trying to change up run fits. They've been trying to, not run fits. They've been trying to change up run schemes, run blocks for a little bit. It hasn't been super successful, and that was with Bill Callahan. Now that they have a new offensive line coach in Andy Dickerson, who's also the run game coordinator, and also a new run game coordinator, by the way, too. We'll find out if this offensive line was just a creation or a super tight fit of what Bill Callahan needed and what the offense was, or is this a legitimately great offensive line that can run multiple systems and be great in multiple different fits? We'll find that out. JOK, is he a star? He's going to be put in position to be a star. Now, for the last couple of years, last year, JOK was a pretty damn good player. The Browns are putting him in a position to be a star. He's going to be the Mike linebacker. He's going to be on the field all the time. They're going to ask him to be more of a star player. And the question is, at the end of the year, when we talk about this Browns defense and we bring up the big names, right? And we bring up Myles Garrett and we bring up Denzel Ward, is JOK going to be on that list now? Maybe Grant Delpit is on that list. But who's going to be on that list? Maybe it'd be Za'Darius. But basically, this year, they're going to put JOK in position to be a star. We're going to find out, is he a star or just a pretty damn good player? That's the questions that I have on my mind that I wonder if the Browns are going to answer in 2024. Let me know what you think in the comment section down below. Y'all have a great day. Have an even better night. Peace.